We are going into the data, we're gonna go find the data and get the data, clean the data. But a different way to think about it is that we're actually spending the time to build the product and solve problems, minor problems, but still problems for our future website visitors. Before we dive deep into kind of scraping the data, getting the data, cleaning the data, enriching the data, this is not only the most boring step in the entire process of building a directory, it's where people will probably make the most mistakes. People will take shortcuts in this step because of how monotonous and tedious and manual it is to get data. It ultimately is the core of your product, right? The value, the use case of our directories that we're building is that it's convenient, all the information is in one spot, and it saves people time. So I'll give you an example. In this video, we're gonna be using dog parks near me. That's the niche that I found in my last video, and we're just gonna continue kind of building out this directory. I know I showed you the top ranking directories for dog park near me in the last video. The truth is, I'm not really satisfied with those directories because in my eyes, they're not that helpful, and there's not enough empathy for dog owners who are looking for dog parks. I did more research after I filmed that video. They're looking for very specific features. They want to know if there's a dog bowl. They want to know if there's shade for their dogs. They want to know if there's a fenced in area, which I think is called a dog run. I'm learning all these different things that dog owners want to see and they're looking for. So rather than having them go out and clicking around Google Maps and kind of looking throughout the internet for this information, we're just gonna save them that time. We're gonna be offering that value through saved time by doing it ourselves, manually creating these listings that are tailored to dog parks around the country. A lot of aspects about this process have to be manually done if you want really high quality data. This is one of those steps where if you take the shortcut and you just try to do it quickly and then go to the WordPress visual aspect of this project where you build out the directory, you're not going to end up with a very useful web asset. I am going to the best of my ability, show you what I do and the standard at which I do it at so that you can actually go build something useful. Let's just dive right into it. I feel like I'm kind of yapping a little bit. To get the data for our directory, we're going to be using Outscraper. So here you can see I spent $317 scraping the data beforehand. I was preparing for this video, but it's okay. I'm happy to spend money on education. It's an investment, right? It's an investment into what could be a profitable directory. But what you want to do is go to Services, Brand, Google, and Google Maps Scraper. So once you have this page, what you want to do is just check to see if there are dog parks as a category on Google. So what that means is this area right here, it actually says dog park, dog park, dog park, and then we see park right here. So that means there's two Google categories that are being pulled up. Luckily, we have a category here, so we can just type in dog park here. You know, if you're working on a niche, by the way, that does not have a Google category, in this example, I guess we'll just say off-leash dog parks, and there's no official Google category for off-leash dog parks, which means you would have to go over here and just hit this little switch for plain queries, and you can type in off-leash dog parks, and then it will go out and scrape all the data that is coming up for off-leash dog parks. So just want to show you that real quick. So this is where you can choose your location. For the most part, I only create nationwide directories because in my opinion, it's like, if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it big, and I'm gonna figure out a way to do it where I can get the most amount of traffic. So I'm gonna leave that defaulted, but you know, you can get real granular, right? I don't really touch this stuff, like email contact scraper might be more useful for a B2B directory, but we're not gonna touch that for this. I don't touch advanced parameters. I do touch other parameters. For dog parks near me, these are the ones that I chose. I want the full name, I want the address, I do want to know reviews as well as the review tags, photo, street view, working hours. So, you know, click data and you'll see here that it's estimating that there are 122,000 places and it's going to cost 20 to 135 bucks. So I already did this, so I'm not going to go ahead and click on it and spend more money. So here's dog park, right? It returned 119,000 rows. If you're just starting out, you don't really need to deal with a niche this big. And for reference, I think it said that it would take 12 to 45 hours. This took 2 hours to finish scraping and provide me with a CSV file. You can click on this and it's going to download a CSV file. I'm just going to pull it up now. I am definitely not a Excel or Google Sheets expert, so this might be hard to watch because I'm trying my best to clean the data, and hopefully when you do this for your own directory, you have the unfair advantage of, you know, doing this faster, finding the data in a better way, and maybe even automating some of this. But I'm going to do it as a non-coder and who isn't really gifted in Excel. So this is all of our data here. So 119,000 rows. That's extremely intimidating, but the first thing that I do actually before I do this is I'll go to ChatGPT. I have 119,000 rows and potential listings, but what is it really? How many dog parks exist in the United States? ChatGPT says there's a total amount of 1,200. That could be helpful, right? I also found this other website that's actually a pretty big kind of dog related website, and they do touch on dog parks. I'm just going to use this as a reference to figure out how many dog parks there are. They have a directory where they mapped out 5,600 dog parks. So at least this tells me that out of the 119,000 rows, I need to get in between 1,200 and 5,600 dog parks. That's good. I just wanted to use that as a general guideline, right? So obviously a lot of this is junk and we can start eliminating big parts of this. To start cleaning it, I am just going to first filter it by reviews. I'm just going to delete all the ones that don't have any reviews. So if we scroll down to the bottom, we can see in this column right here, right? This one right here, it shows us how many Google reviews there are for that specific dog park. And I'm just going to scroll down. So look at all of these places after 107,000 about. All of these don't have reviews. So I'm just going to remove those. These could be just not dog parks. They could be dog parks but permanently closed. So now that we deleted that, we're left with 107,000. That's a little bit, but still a lot of data, right? So now we have to figure out, based on this scraped data, what makes sense logically to narrow this number down. It's most likely going to be name in a lot of cases. Website doesn't really make sense, right? Because a dog park that's really, really popular and nice to include in our directory might not have a website. It's just a dog park. Same with phone number. Also notice that a lot of them don't have addresses. That could be good, right? Like if it doesn't have an address, maybe it is worth deleting. This doesn't help latitude and longitude. Reviews could be helpful to continue narrowing it down, right? Because if it has only one review, maybe it's just not worth including. Maybe I say everything under 30 reviews or something like that, we're just gonna delete because we just wanna have a very small number of dog parks remaining. Photos, street view, working hours, those don't really help. So we have to probably play with this category here. Using the name column, I have to figure out what the best way is to actually start reducing the number of listings. So what I did is I actually went to Google Maps and I typed in dog parks and I tried to find a pattern with the names of the dog parks, right? And as we can see, a lot of dog parks have dog park in the name, but not all of them. Not all of them have the word dog, right? Look at this one, Fullerton Pooch Park. Just from the photos, I can definitely tell this is a dog park. So yeah, a lot of them have the keyword dog park, so that's a little hint on how we can filter this. I'm gonna go dog parks New York, right? New York is interesting because it taught me here that they don't really call dog parks. Some of them are called dog run or dog runs. It's an outdoor park, but there's an indoor enclosed fence area where your dogs can play. So apparently that's what a dog run is. I didn't really know that. I want to be conscious of this too. Now that we kind of have some idea of the patterns in the names, we can go back to our Google Sheets or our Excel. Okay, so actually let's just keep it really, really, really simple. Even though I know that dog beaches and dog runs are a thing, I'm just gonna make sure I take out all the junk first, right? By the way, the reason why I know there's a lot of junk is because if you just look at this, it says public restroom. I found like restaurants, I found campgrounds. So I know that a majority of these are not good quality data. So this is the filter I did. I wanted to see all the names of dog parks that don't contain dog and don't contain park. Now we're seeing this massive list. And this is a total of 45,000. Cool, so we're just gonna delete all these. Again, I'm not an expert here, but I am just trying my best. So those are deleted, and let's clear the filter to see what we're left with. Here we have down to 61,000. So when I filtered by address, I feel comfortable deleting these. They're kind of gibberish. And then some of them don't even have addresses, so we're actually just gonna delete that. We're gonna go ahead and delete that. So now we're left with 60,000. There's still quite a lot of just parks. That's the big issue, is that the category parks is really big. I definitely see how it kind of lumped together just a bunch of regular old parks that are not dog parks. That's probably because even though we use the Google category, you know, people would take their dogs to just a park. If in the Google reviews they mentioned, oh, I brought my dog here and it was great, then it's going to pull that data in, and that's probably why there's so many pieces of data, right? It's scraped really anything that mentioned dog and park as separate words. So I am gonna have to figure out the best way to do this. Yeah, I'll just delete the ones that don't contain dog, which is a really, really large number. It's 52,000. It's 52,000 rows. Very unfortunate, because I'm pretty sure I'm missing out on some really good parks here. We will go ahead and delete these. The tough thing is knowing that in this example, because there's so many listings, right? Your niche might have 300 rows, which is so much easier. But I know that there's dog parks, like the one I found called Fullerton Pooch Park. If I filter all the rows so that I delete any name that does not contain dog, then I'm gonna miss out on really nice dog parks like the Fullerton Pooch Park. And that's just part of the process, right? Your directory doesn't need to be all encompassing. I mean, yes, this is a nationwide directory, and I wanna get as close as possible to having all of these different listings, but it's just one of those things where you have to give up a little bit. After deleting that, we are left with 7,700 dog parks, and that is way better than 119,000, right? Now, let me make sure that we kept the beach ones. Okay, so we did keep the beach dog parks, and then do we keep the dog run? Dog run, dog run, dog run. So what else can we do here is the question, right? And maybe what I'll do here is I will start to cherry pick the ones that I want to keep rather than eliminating the ones that I don't want. So I'll do contains, dog park, and I will take all these. Can we just create a sheet here and just go like this? So I just created a new tab and I pasted it in this, I'll say filtered. This is the filtered list, right? And then we'll do contains dog beach. So I want all of these. These are all dog beaches. So I'm just gonna copy those over and add them to the filtered. Let me see if, cool. All right, so added those. Now our filtered dog parks are at 5,069. I also wanna filter by dog run. Okay, we're gonna paste that. Okay, right now we have a more filtered list here. So we went from 7,700 down to 5,200. Hopefully that removes a lot of the dog parks that aren't dog parks, if you know what I'm saying. I might spend more time cleaning this and trying to figure out other ways, but I think at this point you kind of know what I'm trying to do. I'm taking a massive amount of data and just trying to make it more specific and relevant to what people are actually looking for, which is dog parks. And I think 5,200 is a massive number still, so that is another challenge, but I'll have to kind of think about how I'm gonna format that on a website later. Let's just move on to the next part, which is really, really important. So at this point, we scrape the data, we clean the data, at least to some extent. There's still quite a lot, but now is the time to enrich the data. We want to start adding different types of columns that are basically going to be extra pieces of information we're going to include in our directory that will make it way more helpful and hopefully take our directory to the next level. So in order to do this, I'm just going to start by, so I am going to add a column here. So one way I like to enrich the data is look at different tags on Google Maps. Like we're looking at a New York dog parks. If we type in just the dog parks and we hit reviews, we'll see these tags. And I'm just gonna click on a few of them and notice if I see the same tags over and over again. We're also gonna utilize what we saw in Ahrefs, right? Like we saw indoor dog park, we saw off-leash dog park. We saw some things that are interesting. So I'm gonna go ahead and actually add off-leash and indoor. Off-leash, indoor dog park. Because there's already like proven search volume there, it's just gonna be helpful adding those. So if it's not a dog park that's off-leash, I will still mention it. And if it is, of course, I'll mention it. And hopefully, you know, we will start to rank for those and get traffic for those keywords. But I know that there's more. So let's just continue to insert more columns and prepare for the Google Maps portion. Yeah, looking at this, we have playground hose, walk. Just gonna look around. Okay, here we go. It says water. If water is being mentioned, like there's running water and like trash cans and dog bags, and bags is another category here. Let's keep an eye on that. He also says to sit, which I actually noticed in other ones. There's benches for people to sit, so that's really, really nice. Let's just click around more. Shade, benches again. We have water again. We're starting to see some patterns here. I'm just gonna go to Dog Parks Los Angeles and see if we can spot some of the same patterns. Eagle Rock Dog Park, let's see. So shade is another tag that we're noticing. Benches as well. Shade again, water fountain here. Just from a quick look, right? I probably spent maybe less than 5 minutes just clicking on different dog parks. I know people value water. Like they want to know if water is there for their dog. They want to know if there's shade for their dogs. They want to know if there's benches to sit on. They want to know if there's bags, you know, poop bags. I also found a fence as one. Like people want to know if there's a fence to enclose their dog. Those are the different types of things I'm gonna add to enrich my data. So what I'll do is I will just create columns for those. We have added 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different columns here. I know it's probably hard to visualize, but when we actually create our directory, it's gonna be our street view image, which is right here. But yeah, so this is the image that was scraped using Outscraper. So we're probably gonna use this image. And then we're going to have the hours that the dog park is open, the address. If there is a phone number, we'll probably toss it in there. But we'll also add these features, right? We'll tell people if there is a water fountain, if there's bags, shade, fences, benches, is it off leash, is it indoor? What we're doing here is basically reverse engineering how someone would go out and find their ideal dog park, and we're just gonna go and do that work for them. You're probably starting to see how much work is involved, right? You're probably doing the math. You're saying, okay, we have 5,200 different dog parks. You're saying that I have to go and find out if every single one of these dog parks has a water fountain, has bags, has shade, has a fence, has benches? And the answer is yes. Okay, so to make this faster, I am actually gonna create another column called name and full address. And we're just going to do a quick formula where we combine the name and the full address, which is right here. So this is going to be done for a reason. So now we have combined the name and address, and the reason I did this is you can just copy and paste this into Google Maps right here, and it'll take you directly to the actual map listing, and then you can manually look up this information, right? So like this says bags, right? So I already know there's bags here. Constant supply of poop bags, water fountain. For like bench, right? They have a patio area with benches, so benches is good. Fence, not completely fenced in. I wish it was. So as you can tell, there's some manual work. Cool. And then for off-leash, you know, we can see that this is an off-leash dog park, and it's obviously not indoors, so we know that. So from that, we can say something like, yes, yes, we didn't check shade. There is not a fence, there are benches, it is an off-leash dog park, and no, it's not an indoor dog park. We'll check shade really fast. Not so much shade. Okay, so let's just say no on the shade. So keep in mind, like not only is this really manual, but you're kind of relying on the feedback from other people. So it's not like a perfect thing, but again, we're not trying to strive for 100% perfection. We're just trying to provide people with value. This is why I say people oftentimes will not put in the work and create a directory that's really valuable, because it's really tedious, right? Like imagine how much time it would take just to go through all of this. But I will say, after you're finished filling this whole thing out, you basically just need to put it onto your website. Depending on your budget for your directory, like sometimes I pay someone to automate putting it on my website. I'll create a template, which I'll show you in another video, and I'll tell them how I want it to look and what types of information and data I want. And then he'll basically write a script, a custom script, and he will automate it and publish it. It does get expensive, right? It definitely increases your startup costs by a lot. You know, I've easily spent like $700-800 hiring a WordPress dev just to create this. Like any business you start, this is part of managing your costs. So $317 to scrape the data. You're probably gonna spend 30 bucks on the domain, hosting, and all that a month. Yeah, you can choose to manually do it. And then so basically your all-in cost would be a little under like $400. If you have a little bit larger of a budget, then you could pay let's say $1,000 extra. So that put you to $1,500 to start up this website. That could potentially earn $1,000 a month. If we can get 40,000 monthly visitors, then you earn $1,000 a month passively. And then you have the actual asset that you can sell, but you know, I'm getting too into it right now. But yeah, this is the entire process. If you know how to write custom scripts, if you're gifted at Excel, which you know I'm not, then there's probably ways you can automate the process of finding this. If you don't know any of that, it's okay, because even if you brute force your way, I promise, as you get into the motion and you really lock in, you will actually be able to get a good amount of this done in a reasonable amount of time. This is also why I say that personally, I'm okay spending 2 months working on a directory, because of the research that I did and because I know I'm providing something of value. If you're watching this and you know a way to actually make finding these categories a lot easier, please let me know. I really want to stress that this is a pretty large project. My other directories are anywhere between only like 100 rows or 100 listings to 1,500 listings at the most. So for this to be over 5,000 is a lot, because you know, you see how kind of in-depth I like to make these directories. Like just think about your niche in like a practical way. Yeah, like you don't have to do something as large scale as this. Like this is definitely not a small directory. There are small directories that you can build. With that, if you enjoyed it, please leave your comments. Please leave any suggestions to improve upon my process that I showed you. I know I'm not a data analyst. I'm not an expert at that. I'm a generalist, if anything. So would love to hear from you data experts down below. And hopefully this was good stuff. I'm excited to see if you guys are willing to go through this. And just a reminder, if you haven't subscribed to the directory newsletter, that will be in the description down below, as well as the comments. Thanks again for watching. Really appreciate the support, and I'll catch you guys in a future video. Thanks. See ya.